Howdy, I'm Leo and welcome to 2025. Now, I know this video is a couple days late at this point, but I like to make sure that the video comes out after I've gotten all of my figures from 2024, and I thought I might be getting another one. But nonetheless, here is this video, finally. This is my top 5 list from 2024, and also I'll be providing a little bit of a channel update, I suppose you could call it. So without further ado, pour out a cold one with me and let's get started. Up first is Hasbro and Takara Tomi's masterpiece movie Brawl. Now, this figure is absolutely incredible. I have only a select few number of MPM figures. I have Ironhide, I have Starscream, and I also picked up Barricade this year, but this figure absolutely has to be the best of all of the ones I have so far. Despite the backpack making up most of the tank panels in vehicle mode, it just absolutely locks in, and I don't think there's any other figure I've seen that really quite does it like this. I mean, there is just locking points on locking points. Unfortunately, the entire figure doesn't have the same security, but this is just such a cool figure, and I know Brawl is actually a lot thinner in the first movie, but when I think of the character, this is what I think of. I don't think anybody could do it quite as good as Hasbro and Takara Tomy have done it here, which is really kind of surprising because this is not something I think we see enough from Hasbro and Takara Tomy. So if this is any indication of where this line is to go in the future, I think they're absolutely on the right path. This figure was totally amazing and definitely worth their spot in my top 5 list. Up next is Magic Square's Heavy Gunner. What an absolute knockout figure for this year. To tell you the truth, I have Magic Square's Light of Peace, the metallic version, and I didn't include it in that year's top 5 list because there was part of the transformation that just wasn't working for me. After a bit of messing with it a little bit beyond my comfort, I actually found out that the figure does work, but this figure just doesn't have those problems. Like, the paint got a little bit in the way of some of their tolerances on tabs, but other than that, this is an absolute slam dunk figure, and it really makes me excited for where Magic Square is going with this set. You know, their munitioner was, I would say, not as good. I'm not crazy about the fact that they didn't put a blue window on it, despite the fact that they're smaller scale figures having the blue window on every version, but it's also just like this figure perfectly balances the line of toon accuracy, but also having a little bit of detail, and I think that makes it ever so slightly better than Munitioner. So this figure is absolutely deserving of this place on the list. I'm super excited to see the rest of Magic Square's releases for this set and going into 2025. Up next is DX9 Lahire. Now, I didn't make a video on this, but if you saw a community post I made earlier, you might know that I have this figure. We'll get to that later, but this figure is just so cool. It's amazing how they turned this Lamborghini Centenario into this really well-proportioned robot mode. Now, DX9 unfortunately disappeared for a long time, but with some luck, we'll be seeing them in the not-too-distant future. But Unique Toys, who may be the same company, are also releasing amazing figures, and I wish I had picked up their Red Dasher, but maybe that'll be something I can pick up in 2025. But back to this guy, this figure is super cool. The only thing I wish it had was more articulation, because the articulation, unfortunately, on this figure is not the greatest. But despite it being a couple of years old, like, the engineering on this thing is fantastic. You know, it's absolutely incredible, and I really hope that we get to see more engineering from DX9, Unique Toys, whoever's behind this one, because this figure is so cool and definitely deserving of its spot in my list for this year. Now, back-to-back figures that didn't come out this year, but I did pick up this year, is X-Transbot's Commander Stack. what do I have to not say about this figure? This is one of the ones that's joining my collection and staying forever. I don't want to spill everything that I have to say about this figure because I actually am in the middle of doing a video on this figure. I just wanted to get this one out first, but this figure's just so cool. It's so cool, and the only thing, genuinely, the only thing I wish this figure had was metallic paint. I know the paint on it is already pretty good, but compared to something like Fans Toys Marge, whatever, Fans Toys figure, it's just, the paint is just almost there, and we've seen that they can do it. Like, if you look at Bond James, the blue Pontiac Fiero, looking at the paint on that figure is absolutely incredible. Or on another one, X-Transbot's Klaatu. That figure almost made the list because the paint is amazing, the transformation's easy, it's just absolutely incredible. But again, this video is coming out soon, so I won't spoil everything, but all you gotta know is this figure's incredible. Definitely one of, if not the best purchase I made in 2024. And last, but most certainly least, his presence is unmatched by any other figure in my collection. He's so fat, he doesn't fit on my turntable. Fans Toys, Gary! No, like seriously, Fans Toys Gary is the last one. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's not Fans Toys Gary. It's actually Fans Toys Ethereon. Oh my gosh. What a tight competition for Fans Toys it was this year, because I picked up a ton of figures, not even just the ones I got or they released this year. I picked up the Fans Toys Stunticons. I picked up the painted, like, toy version of Jive X, but I have to give it to Ethereon. This combiner is so good. It's the best combiner I've ever seen. It's the most stable combiner I've ever seen. I will admit, it's had some tough competition from Zeta Toys Superatron because it has really held a spot, not in my collection, but in others' collections for a very long time, and it is a very stable combiner. But this one is just better, like, in every way, and that's why I decided to invest in it. With last year and this year, they finally released it, and I'm so happy to say that I'm getting rid of X-Transbot's Monolith. I am not dealing with that figure anymore. It's too small against Fans Toys Ethereon anyway, so they wouldn't look good next to each other on a shelf. This figure is awesome. The articulation is awesome. The paint is awesome. The only thing I wish it had was better elbow articulation. Otherwise, this figure is, dare I say it, perfect. So that's it. That's the end of the list for 2025. Okay, so let's talk about the channel real quick on a real note. In case you couldn't tell, I don't like to be terribly explicit here. Maybe it's a symptom of the hobby that I'm in, but for those who couldn't gather, I am no longer in college now. I have a real career. I have an actual job, so I don't exactly have the same schedule I used to, where I can just kind of make these videos at my leisure. But to be honest, it's not really gotten in the way. It's more just, you know, I get off from work and I want to do something other than making videos. That's not to say I don't like making videos. It's just, I don't know. I was not terribly happy with the amount of content that I put out this year, or lack thereof, rather. Looking at my open projects files, I have 10 projects at least just sitting, waiting to be completed. Some of them, like X-Transbot's Commander Stack, are going to be completed, I can tell you that. Some of them, they started off as concepts, but they're not reviews, so I was not really sure how to structure them. Obviously, I'm not afraid to do other things. Look at that short that's got like 500,000 views now. I did that on a whim, like for fun. And now it's the most viewed video on my channel, far overtaking the IKEA Billy videos, which I'm still very happy with. I saw at least one channel uploaded saying that, you know, this is what my bookshelves look like, which makes me so happy. You don't realize how happy it makes me to see people actually executing on that idea. You know, I tried to find videos now that I have my own space to kind of start setting up displays like this. I tried to find videos, but unfortunately, they were all like bespoke, or they used parts that didn't exist anymore. So I wanted to make an updated video for kind of the updated world. So, but all that is to say, for this year, I really want to get a more consistent, take a drink if you've heard this before, I want to have a more consistent upload schedule this year. Cheers. Okay, anywho, so I want to upload at least one video per month. Now, things being what they are, I have to take on my student loans and everything, so I can't exactly go buying every figure that's coming out under the sun. But supposedly, allegedly, X-Transbots is coming out with their next Constructicon soon, so maybe that video will be out soon. Or that figure will be out soon, and if so, a review will be shortly behind it, and our first Versus video. Actually, no, that's not true, because MMC hasn't even started yet. Yo, MMC, come on, let's get a move on. You've got the Protectobots almost done. We got to get a roll on. So, I digress. You know, I want to be more consistent. I want to upload more. I also am probably going to experiment more. Not all the video projects that I mentioned that are currently sitting in my drafts folder, for lack of a better term, are for this channel. You know, I have 2 other channels, one of which I've done a little bit of gaming content with and uploaded some memes and whatnot, but still hasn't really gotten as much consistency as this one. And the 3rd channel I've barely done anything on. I uploaded some really, really bad GarageBand projects that I started working on and never finished, so I just might as well upload them and make them like sound cringe and stuff. So I digress. This has been my top 5 list of the year and also a little channel update. Let me know what your favorite figures of 2024 are, and if there are any figures you'd like me to take a look at next, leave a comment down below. And as always, I'm Leo, reminding you that plastic toys don't belong in plastic prisons. See you next time.